Alright, the next question is from the Buddhist Conservative. The Buddhist Conservative writes, the wheels of American normativity are already in motion. I just hope that the rich history of the world is not watered down in the process. Buddhist Conservative, I think that's a great point. I do absolutely agree with you that American normativity is already in motion. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad or a good thing. I'm working my way through it now, the concept of American normativity. And by American normativity, all that I am trying to articulate is the sense of globalization needs to have a norm which regulates and governs appropriate action. Now, what in the world does that mean, right? If I'm going to talk about globalizing Americana, then there needs to be some standard with which actions in this global world are governed, so that an action is right if it conforms to some theory, right? And sort of the standard of this conformity, I argue, comes about by the concept of American normativity. So I believe that Americans and American standards are going to have a huge influence in a globalized world. Which is not to say that Australian standards and norms, or English standards and norms, or Indian standards and norms, or Czechoslovakian standards and norms. I think everyone's going to contribute, but I live in the United States of America, so my interest is in American normativity. Now, there are a lot of pros and cons in discussing American normativity, so Buddhist Conservative, I think, I'll have to work through it, and if you guys have suggestions on how you think American normativity might play into globalization, then by all means, give me your feedback. Right now, my approach is to always be cautious, right? I think it's better to be cautious than to make an assumption. And people are so against being politically correct. Oh, Jason, you're too politically correct. You care too much about offending others, and it's just all this PC talk. Well, yeah, I'm extremely politically correct because at any and every instance, I actually believe that you have an opportunity to offend someone. And I think that our place in the world should always, at every moment, have the thoughts and the sort of the feelings of other people's at the forefront of our minds. So yes, I'm extremely politically correct. It's invariable that you're going to offend some people, but I don't think that you should deliberately come out and give this hate message, or not even just a hate message, a message fueled by ignorance, right? I think if you take into account other people's concerns, other people's sort of standard of living, then at least if you put your foot in your mouth, you'll be able to say, hey, I shouldn't have done that. And I think the same is true for American normativity. I think as the world becomes more and more globalized, I think Americans have a greater responsibility to be politically correct, a greater responsibility to think about the well-being of other people. Now, granted, the thing that just popped in my mind is a notion of censorship, and I might write about censorship later. I don't think that we need to up censorship. I'm not saying that. And I'll work through this idea in the next coming weeks or months. But I do think we should be politically correct. I do think as we have a more globalized world, we need to take account of other people. So the Buddhist Conservative, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Dennis left a comment, and I want to read Dennis's comment. It was a really good comment. It hit me pretty hard, so I just want to take a few seconds and respond to it. I would submit to you that the purpose of the never-ending story, I would submit to you that purpose is a never-ending story because we only ever have control of one moment, and that moment being now. We have no promise of tomorrow, but that's no cause to cram as much life into the moment as we can, but rather the call to enjoy each moment as it comes to us fullest. Picture each moment as a telephone post at the side of the road. If we roar past at the speed of a sports car, trying to get many moments as we can, we see nothing but a blur. However, if we walk along, savoring the passage of each moment, we see all that we need to see. The poles, the grass around them, the wildflowers between them, and yes, even the litter that must be dealt with to improve the beauty of the moment. So Dennis, I mean, that's, what's to say, that's remarkable, right? What Dennis is saying is that in the rush to figure out purpose, and one of my main things I'm completely fascinated with is this idea of purpose. Personally speaking, I don't believe I have a purpose. I'm not sure I believe in purpose. That's just me personally. But I do think it's interesting to think about how people get into the situations that they're in, the life experiences that position people to express particular views or ideologies. And I'm just sort of fascinated by that whole idea of purpose. And I like what Dennis says, because if you look at your life as being in a car as opposed to walking by, if you're in a car and you speed past the world, you get a lot accomplished, but you don't really savor much. Whereas if you walk along, you see a lot more, you see the detail, but you don't get a lot done. And that might be my Achilles heel, Dennis. I want to get a lot done, right? I have a very attuned sense of my finitude, right? I have a very attuned sense of the brevity of human life. And I mean, you live 80 years, that's still nothing in the grand scheme. And there's so much to do and so much to get done. So for me, purpose is more than the sports car. I miss a lot. I try and take really good snapshots, though, with a very high camera lens. And then while I'm driving, I look down like we all do texting at the pictures, and I try and reflect. But yeah, that's sort of my Achilles heel, is I haven't quite negotiated between savoring the moment and trying to make the world a better place. And the world doesn't stop, so I got to keep going. Dennis, I appreciate your comment a lot.